What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Bubbles BuzzerBeater, the unofficial official BuzzerBeater YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about the national team and U21 elections and just kind of give a brief election guide for managers who are either interested in running for a national team or U21 national team position, or if they are just looking at voting and trying to pick the best candidate possible. So as a lot of you know, I was looking at running for a U21 coaching job for a different country. And the country that I kind of stumbled upon and was interested in running for was actually Serbia. So Serbia is a team that I was always impressed with when I was running seasons and seasons ago. They had some really nice stretches between seasons 28 and 35. And I've just always liked the way they run their teams. They haven't made a world since season 41, so I'm running in the election, hoping to get the job and seeing if I can change that. But I know that the USA election is in good hands, as I said, so I'm looking at running for Serbia. So if you guys are interested in that, you can always go and check out my speech and the debate thread in the Serbian forums. But without further ado, here's just a little guide on how the election process works. So the elections are obviously held in order to decide who will become the manager of the national team or the U21 team. And the elections always last for 1 week. So once the off-season is processed, the elections start, and the winner of the election is decided by the managers on BuzzerBeater. So the users can only vote for the manager of their own national team. So if you're from Italy, you can't vote in the Spanish election, for example. So you have to vote in your own country. But users can also only register for one election, but they can register in any country. So that's where, even though I'm from the United States, I'm running in the election for the Serbia U21 coaching job. And BuzzerBeater admins, BBs, are not allowed to run in elections, although game masters, GMs, are. So the only thing with that is that they are not allowed to moderate forum threads pertaining to the election that they're registered in, for obvious reasons, because you don't want them deleting messages or anything like that. But the structure and timeline for the election, so there's kind of two phases of the election process. Phase 1 takes up the first 4 days of the election process, and that's where any and all managers who are interested in running can register and then begin to receive votes. And this is also typically when the national team speeches are typically made for each individual manager. So typically you'll register, and then within that same day or the following day, you'll make your speech and post it in the forum. And then phase 2 will be the last 3 days of the week, where the election pool is reduced, so it'll only include managers who have received 5% plus of the votes, and it'll always limit it to the top 5. So if there's an election where, let's say, 8 managers run, and all of them have received at least 5% of the votes, it'll still only take the top 5. The other thing is that no other managers can register once you hit this point. The one caveat is if there's less than 10 votes that have been casted, then managers can still register. And then the last thing is that if there is a tie, whoever has played BuzzerBeater longer, so whichever account is older and whichever manager has more experience, will win the election if there is a tie. Now, the main thing is knowing where to find more information about the candidates and trying to figure out who to vote for. So, as I said, team speeches will typically be posted in the first few days of the election process, and the speeches for the candidates can be found in the specific country's national forum. So you can see right here, this is the U21 national team speeches for Serbia, and you can see just the very beginning of my speech in there. If you wanted to view the whole thing, you are more than welcome to go on there and look at it, but there is a specific thread for the speeches. And the other thing is the debate thread. So the debate thread is where managers get a chance to ask candidates questions to better inform their decision on who they want to vote for. It's a good place to figure out philosophies that the manager has, as well as what they plan to do in their terms. So if you have a set plan, or if you have a training regimen that you are interested in and you're running, then that's a good place to kind of discuss that so that people know what you're all about. And if you are unsure of who to vote for or need more information, then that's the perfect place to kind of dwindle down that process and figure out who you want to vote for. So you can see right here the example. This one is in the United States debate thread. And Sleet here asked, how will you manage or delegate managing the U21 pipeline, scouting outreach to managers, suggesting builds, as well as do you prioritize specific builds, or are you looking for a mix? Do you prioritize calling up players owned by domestic managers? Why or why not? And then the third question, what do you think our U21 program has been lacking in recent seasons, if anything, and what would you do to address it? So those are the type of questions where whoever is running can look through that, reflect on it, answer back, and then Sleek can get a more informed opinion and see what these candidates are all about, and then he can cast his vote based on how they answer his questions, as well as other managers' questions in the debate thread. And then obviously, what's at stake? So the winner of the national team manager election is elected for a 2-season term. So season 1 consists of continental championships. So that's where Africa, Americas, Asia, and Europe compete within their own area. And then season 2 is the World Championships, as well as the Consolation Tournament if you do not qualify for Worlds. So it's a 2-season term, so it's a little bit of a commitment. There are situations where you'll vote for your manager whether or not you approve of the job that they're doing. And there are cases where if a manager goes inactive, or if they have a popularity vote of below 25%, they can actually be replaced. But that is based on a percentage of managers that need to vote, so it doesn't happen very often. But there are cases where U21 or national team managers can get replaced after the election. For the most part, though, it is going to be a 2-season long process. And then the last thing is that season 56 elections are going on right now. So I encourage you all to check out your domestic nation's speech thread and debate thread and vote, because I know some seasons there's lots of turnout and some seasons there's not. But the last day to vote is January 18th, and it concludes at the end of the day Eastern time. So please go on and vote. It's one of my favorite aspects of BB is the U21 national team specifically, but just national teams in general. So I'm excited to get that going. I'm hoping I can win the Serbian election, but I know it's going to be very close. And then, as I said, I voted for Antoine for the USA, but there's 2 other managers who are also running, and I think we'd be in good hands with any 3. So please go out and check the forums, figure out who you want to vote for, and make sure you cast that before the 18th. Thanks. Bye-bye.